What is going on, everybody? Been a diehard Pistons fan since 2003 and starting to get very optimistic about this Pistons team. The Detroit Pistons have an opportunity to do something very, very special tonight. That is to win their fourth straight game, something that they have not done since the pandemic. It has been a long time since the Pistons have won four straight games, and they have a chance to do it tonight against the Portland Trail Blazers. They also have the opportunity to be 18-18 after tonight. That would be the furthest in the season they have been 500 in an equal amount of time. Well, years ago since they were 500 in the beginning of January. So a lot at stake tonight. We're going to go through. We're going to talk about three things that I will be paying close attention to. We're going to talk about what I think the ticket to winning the game will be. And at the very back half of the video, we're going to do like 90 seconds on the Jared Goff chance in Little Caesars Arena. It's a hot topic in the Pistons community right now. I have a couple things to say about it, but not enough to make a full-length video regarding it. So the first thing I'll be paying close attention to tonight is going to be, can we contain Anthony Simons of the Portland Trail Blazers? I don't have a picture of him handy, so I just use this picture of Ausar, who is questionable tonight with illness, since he would be our best bet in stopping him. But Simons has been on a bit of a roll. The Portland Trail Blazers have won 3 of their last 5 games as well. In the last 4 games, Simons has had over 20 points in all of them. So he's the only guy on their team that kind of scares me in a big way. They are without Jeremy Grant tonight, someone we're all very familiar with as he is a former Piston. But their best scorer on the team this year has been Simons, and he has been on a bit of a roll. So I will be interested to see if the Pistons can slow him down. They played against the Bucks in their last game, and he hit a game-winning bucket against the Bucks. So the dude's playing pretty good basketball here at the moment. Hoping that Ausar can play and that sickness does not keep him out of the game. I hope that Holland gets a few looks at guarding him, and maybe even Sasser too. So moving on, the next thing I will be paying close attention to is going to be the Jalen Duren versus DeAndre Ayton matchup, because I think that that is a good matchup for Jalen Duren. Jalen Duren this year has struggled against stretch bigs. Thankfully, Ayton, despite shooting more three-pointers this year than he has in the rest of his career, doesn't shoot a lot of them. He's averaging 1 attempt per game from 3, and I just think that DeAndre Ayton is a good enough player that it will challenge Duren, but he's not so good that I'm scared about it, and I think that Jalen Duren could potentially really outplay him and make a statement in this game. I think that Jalen Duren has played better than he has rest of the year over the course of, say, the last 5 to 10 games, and I think that he's starting to look better out there in general, so I think that this is a good opportunity for Jalen Duren to go out there against a pretty quality center in DeAndre Ayton and make a statement. And I think that that's going to be a good opportunity to do so tonight. The third thing that I'll be paying close attention to is Simone Fontecchio's return. I'm looking at the injury report right now, and I do not see Simone Fontecchio on there at all. All that I see is Ausar Thompson, questionable with illness, and of course Jaden Ivey being out. So I assume that means Simone is going to be back. He has missed the last 3 games for personal reasons, but he was on the bench last game. So gonna be interested to see him come back for 2 different reasons. The first reason being is we have yet to see how JB Bickerstaff manages the rotation with Jaden Ivey being out, with everybody else being available. In the first couple games without Jaden Ivey, not a whole lot changed as far as the wing rotation went. Marcus Sasser played more minutes than he typically has against Charlotte, and Holland and Ausar kind of got their regular minutes, except Ausar played a little more in one game. But we haven't really seen JB have all of his players available, including Simone, all the rotation guys, since Jaden Ivey has went down. So going to be curious to see how he kind of plays through that, especially could be interesting if Ausar is actually going to be out with this illness instead of questionable. That could change things. And then the second reason is I just think that Simone could really impact the team more than he has through this first stretch of the season. I still believe him a lot. Really like the dude as a player, and I think that potentially him coming back, he could turn a corner and look more like the last year version of Simone that we saw that was looking like our second best player at times last year. So interested to see how that plays out. Moving on to the ticket to win, it's going to be simply not playing down to our competition. The Pistons, over the past 8 games, have won 7 of those games, but there has been a few scares against teams that are not very good, like the Charlotte Hornets, where we only won by a couple points. And before that stretch started, we lost to the Utah Jazz, another team who are on the bottom of their conference. The thing about it is, I don't look past a lot of these teams. When I look at the Trailblazers, I see a competent basketball team. I see Anthony Simons, someone who I think is a good scorer. I see DeAndre Ayton, who, when you remove the fact that he was a number 1 overall pick and on a max contract, dude is a solid starting NBA center. I see dudes like Scoot Henderson, who has promise, and Sharp, who has promise and can show flashes and can definitely impact an individual game positively, even if they are not going to be somebody who finishes the year overall super, super well. So these teams like the Hornets or the Jazz or the Trailblazers, I don't overlook. I just really think that the bottom of the NBA has more talent than it ever has. And the Pistons aren't good enough yet to sleepwalk through any of these teams, but they have played down to their competition. I would love to see them boat race one of these teams instead of doing what they have done, and that is beating better teams on paper like the Timberwolves and like the Suns and like the Lakers, but then playing these teams like the Jazz and Hornets just as close, if not worse. So the ticket to win is going to be just playing the way that they played against the Timberwolves. If they play the way that they played against the Timberwolves with that smothering defense, forcing turnovers, shooting the ball well, yeah, they're going to walk through this Trailblazers team. But unfortunately, we haven't really found a way to do that yet, where we go out and just lay the hammer down on teams that I would like to see us start doing that too. So, as I promised, last couple minutes here, I do want to talk about something that keeps getting brought up, and it's the Jared Goff chants at the Little Caesars Arena. In case you guys haven't been to games this year, or if you haven't noticed on the broadcast, it's been very, very reoccurrent that the fans will chant Jared Goff at Pistons games. When this first started happening, I didn't care. I was all for it. Thought it was cool. At this point, it has become like a song that you heard and you liked, but then it gets played on the radio over and over and over and over again, and it starts to become annoying. That's how I view it, and I'm not the only one who feels that way, but maybe you disagree. When it became too much for me is when Tim Hardaway got kneed in the head and then dropped on his head, was laying on the floor, concussed with his head cut open, eventually had to be wheeled out on a wheelchair. When he was laying on the ground, the fans started chanting, Jared Goff, as all the Pistons players were huddled around Tim Hardaway, and the dude was pretty much knocked out cold. At that exact moment, I was like, man, y'all ran it into the ground. Now you got Cade's cousin, Ashton, on Twitter tweeting about how annoying it is, and I think it's time just to retire that. Look, the Lions are a very exciting football team. There's no question about it. The Jared Goff chants, ironically, at Tigers games and Pistons games or wherever you felt like doing it 6 to 12 months ago, it was a funny, cool, ironic bit. At this point, like I said, it's like that song that was really good at first, but then it got played on the radio all summer long, and now it's the end of the summer, and it's just obnoxious. That's what the Jared Goff chants at the Pistons games feel like to me. But maybe you feel different, so let me know. It's just been a pretty hot topic in the Pistons fan base this past weekend, so curious to know your guys' thoughts. Looking forward to this game tonight. We could be 500 by tomorrow morning, and that's pretty awesome. So we'll leave on that note, and we'll catch up soon.